assessment is erroneous. B, in assessment, the burden of proof is upon the Commissioner of Internal Revenue to show clearly that the assessment is correct. Letter C, in assessments, all assumptions are in favor of the innocence of the taxpayer. And letter D, in assessments, taxpayers are assumed to be delinquent and therefore do not have the right to question such assessment.
Letter A.
Letter A, di ba? Sa'yo ba, no? Of course, I chose topics which have been previously or just recently discussed, reported. Another example of understanding, number 25. Which of the following condition is not necessary for retirement benefits to be exempted from income tax? Okay? Asa man na, which of the following requisites? So, kini mga requisites, dili na siya masunod sa understanding. No? For a retirement to be exempt, di ba, in your income taxation? Because otherwise, if the retirement benefits received by an employee does not comply with those requisites, such retirement benefits may be taxable for income tax purposes. So, which of these is not a requirement?
D.
Huh?
D.
Letter?
D. D.
Letter D?
The employee is sole breadwinner of the family.
Letter C, the retiring employee is not less than 50 years of age. Or letter B, the benefits granted shall be availed of by an official or employee only once. Or letter A, the retiring official or employee has been in the service of the same employer for at least 10 years. It's letter D. Letter D. Oh, wata kay balo, ilang irambol, no? Mag-letter D na mo. Ilang basaho, no? Basahan kita, uy, retirement benefits.
Letter D, no?
Basta na kayo, ilasan, utrohon ang multiple choices, no?
13 lagi.
Okay, this is an example, first example of analysis, meaning how do you apply particular provisions, concept, principles, or law to particular situations. So in this case, in 2009, JM, an individual taxpayer, borrowed money from Banco del Rio that gave her an interest expense of 15,000 pesos. She deposited the money with Banco de Janeiro and yielded an interest income of 25,000. Is it proper for JM to claim the entire interest expense of 15,000 as one of the deductible expense? So no, upon reading the problem,
no.
What concept will come to your mind or provision? This pertains to tax arbitrage scheme. Diba? Have you encountered that one in your income taxation? Sigurado mo wala? Because normally, income tax interest expense is before is fully deductible. With this arbitrage scheme, tax arbitrage scheme now, not the entire interest expense shall be deductible. Diba? Remember? That is one, there is a provision of that in the tax code. So you have, the choice is A, no, because it is not directly related to her conduct of trade, business, or profession. B, yes, because the said expense is ordinary and necessary. Letter C, no, because it has to be reduced by a certain percentage of interest income subject to final tax. And letter D,
C.
Yes, because she paid the said amount in
C. C, sir. C.
C kay taas.
Dili, sir. Dili, good. Mo, good, sir. Letter C, good, sir. Sakuara na.
Ano mang letter C man dali abi?
Moro, ginakong kuwan po. Dili, sa P. Sakuara. Oh.
Diba? So when we talk about arbitrage scheme, from that concept alone, you will already know the answer. Because in arbitrage scheme, not the entire interest expense shall be deductible. So by that, ha? Nakasabat ba ulit? Then man sa gawas? Okay, another example of understanding.
Sir.
Oh, lagi ito.
Lagi.
Letter C, no? Letter C.
Sige, taas. Sige, kada taas mo, sir.
Do you understand the concept of arbitrage
Yes, sir.
scheme?
No. Unsa gid sir?
Ang buhaton lang mo dali ha. Ang usa ka taxpayer mangutang no, mang-loan. Okay, mang-loan siya. Normally, Mang-loan ka because you have to use that in your business. You will be paying interest expense. Before, the entire interest expense shall be deductible. Karon dili na because of that arbitrage scheme which was introduced by RA 8424 which took effect on January 1 of 1998. Unsa may mahitabo? If you invest into kinsa mo gipicturean ako?
Sorry sir, akong giset parang sa next slide na. Wala ko taro mong set.
Oh, okay na sa ako tayo mong picture.
Ay, kamalak ka sir kay whole world. Whole world. Whole world sir, whole world. Ay, kamalak.
Going back to arbitrage scheme, no? Para
picture.
to recall, no? To recall arbitrage scheme. So, normally, ang kining katong amount nga gi-loan sa taxpayer, iyan ang gibutang unta sa iyang negosyo. But instead of putting that into business, di ba kung ibutang niya sa business, subject unta na siya sa pila may interest. For example, if it is a corporation, pila may interest? 30% karon. Before, it's 35. But prior to November of 2005, it's 32. Di ba? 32 up to October 31, 2005. From November 1, 2005 up to December 31, 2008, it's 35%. Now it's 30%. Okay. Let's just assume 30%. 30%. Di ba ang imuhang income unta from that money na na-derive when you introduce that into or put that into business will be subjected to 30% income tax. Unsa may gibuhat ron sa taxpayer. Instead of putting that into business nga ma-subject unta sa 30%, iyang gibutang sa bangko gideposito. Pag deposito niya sa bangko, that is only subjected, the interest income from that money is subjected only to 20% final tax. Kung yung tanaw na, i-diferensya na 10%, di ba? Kung iyang gibutang sa business, ma-subject og 30%. Kung iyang gibutang sa bangko, 20% lang. There's a difference of 10%. That is the arbitrary there. Now, supposedly, the interest expense is deductible in full. Pero wala man nga subject in full income tax. So, muna i-reduce siya by a portion of the interest income earned by such money, supposedly to be put up in the business. Sa problema ng doha.
Di, nag-discuss ni Sir na-discuss pa na sa mong income tax. Alam mo lang sa all ba?
Ano yan? Na-discuss?
Discuss. Pero di, wa siya ningon nga arbitrage scheme. Nag-discuss siya na
Ha?
example.
Oh, nakinomdom mo? Oh, sige. Another example of analysis where you are going to apply provisions or concepts or principles of taxation to a particular situation. X, a multinational corporation doing business in the Philippines donated 100 shares of stock of said corporation to Mr. Y, its resident manager in the Philippines. What is the tax liability, if any, of X corporation? I think we have this problem in our donor's tax. Wala? X, a multinational corporation doing business in the Philippines, donated 100 shares of stock to Mr. Y, its resident manager. What is the tax liability, if any, of X corporation? A, X corporation is not liable to any tax. The property donated is located in the Philippines. Accordingly, donation of a foreign corporation of its own shares of stocks in favor of resident employees is not subject to donor's tax. Letter B, X corporation is liable for capital gains tax. The shares of stock not being held for sale is considered capital asset. Letter C, X corporation is liable for donor's tax of 30%. The manager being considered a stranger for purposes of imposition of donor's tax being not related by consanguinity or affinity. Or letter D, X corporation is subject to ordinary corporate tax rate. The transaction considered as ordinary asset that shall form part together with the main income of the corporation. Letter C.
A.
Letter?
C.
Letter C. Donor's tax of 30%. The resident manager, because resident manager usually foreigner na siya, di ba? Resident gali.
Filipino.
Ha?
Not necessary.
Not necessarily.
Sir,
Ha? Filipino yung resident manager. Okay. So, unsa man? Letter D? Ha? Another one, John Ray. That's letter? Libog, no? Is it considered a capital asset or ordinary asset?
Capital
Ha? Ang shares of stocks is not an asset. It's an equity, di ba? Equity siya, di ba? Dili siya asset, it's an equity. Di ba? Dili siya asset, dili siya asset, it's an equity. So, tangtango na ng duha diha, letter B or D. You have two options now. Left, A or C. Letter? Letter A. Okay, according sa ilaha, kung wala na jud kuno kay laing way of determining which is the correct answer, that is one of the ways. But I don't know how true, no? I don't know how true. It's up to you, no? So I think it's the end. No? Those are examples of the 100.
What to say?